here for another night on Steel City Live. Thank you for joining us, man. What's up, Zah? What's up, Miss P? What is up, everybody in the house? Good to see people lighting up the chat early. Good to see the like button getting smashed early. So let's continue that theme. Let's smash the shit out of that like button. Truly, truly appreciate it. What's up, American Militia? I seen you up there. What's up, Justin Menike? Good to see you guys. Again, we're back. Anything you guys want to talk about, anything you want to discuss, go ahead and throw it inside of the live chat. Throw it in the comment section there, and we will get to it. We will discuss whatever you wish. However, tonight I want to just dive into something that shouldn't be so damn complicated, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers and how they got to approach this draft, man. We can sit here and speculate about every pick. Who is it going to be? What position are they going to go to? How is this thing all going to shake out? How is it all going to work? Who's going to still be there at this pick, that pick, wherever we may go? But here's the real nuts and bolts of the whole damn thing. If you're Omar Khan, you're Mike Tomlin, you're Andy Weidel, you're the ownership group, you're Art Rooney II. You have to understand exactly what these needs are. You see them. They're right in front of your face. You see the needs that are still left to be fixed. You still see what all has to happen here. And if you're the Steelers, this can't be complicated. This isn't complicated. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to make the draft come to you. You have to sit there and allow the draft to come to you on its own. Happen organically. You can't sit there and force the issue. You understand the needs. You recognize what you have to get done. And this isn't rocket science. This isn't brain surgery. This isn't all the Mel Kipers and all the bullshit that want to talk about all this shit. The Steelers need to do this. They have to do that. They have to do this. Blah, 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 blah. This player, they fit because why? They fit because this, that, whatever. No, this isn't that complicated, guys. It's not that complicated. We've talked about things in the past. We've talked about what teams should be looking for. What should they be looking for? Good, solid team guys. Guys that want to come in and be part of your organization. They want to be part of a team. They want to be part of a winner. And that's what you should be looking for. Guys that aren't going to cause you a bunch of issues. Guys that only believe in team first. That's what you should be looking for. And yes, you have positional needs, you recognize them, but you can't force this thing. You can't go out there and you can't make stupid ass trades. You can't give up everything to go up and get one single guy. It's the draft. It's a lottery. It doesn't make sense. Stockpile picks, make things work to your advantage. Do what you got to do. Allow the draft board to come to you and really just sift through the players. When you're about to be picking at 21, what's starting to be left here? Where were the big runs? Okay, you know what? Maybe defensive tackle ain't our guy, but maybe a quarterback fail. Okay, all of a sudden now you're in the quarterback business. Oh, well, those quarterbacks that were first round type talents, they got picked up. They got gobbled up in that first 15 picks, that first 10 picks, But no massive run yet on any of the big defensive front guys. Maybe we'll go there now. Again, you don't have to overcomplicate this. You don't have to force your hand. You don't have to force going up there and grabbing anybody in particular. This draft is very deep in several positions. That means that you don't have to force the issue. That means that you don't have to make ridiculous trades to get players that you want that are, quite frankly, gambles. No matter who sits up there and tells you somebody is a surefire thing, there are very few of those inside of a draft at any year. It doesn't matter if it was last year, this year, next year. There are very few surefire slam dunk picks. And those guys are usually taken within the first couple. And even then, sometimes those don't work out. So why go and jeopardize your future of your franchise? Why go out there and jeopardize not having picks in the later rounds to where teams aren't as frantic, teams aren't as panicked, where you have a little bit of calmness about you to where maybe perhaps that's why some of these later picks work out maybe more often than some of these big, high value picks. Maybe because you're getting to go there and say to yourself, hey, man, it's chill. You know, hey, we kind of still need this position. Let's go after it. This guy, he's been catching our attention. Bam, you make that pick with confidence, with ease, relaxed. And that's why this isn't rocket science. And that's why Omar Khan, Mike Tomlin, all the crew, man, they don't need to overcomplicate this shit. And I know every podcast out there in the world, every show out there in the world, they're going to have every damn thing they can think of to tell you of why this player should be here or that player should be there. But this stuff isn't that complicated, guys. It's football. And football at its purest is the greatest game that's been ever created. It's the funnest game ever. And you don't got to turn it into anything more than that. You just got to go with it and allow things to come to you. I firmly believe that. And I feel like when you overcomplicate the situation and you force shit, that's when you start to make mistakes. That's when you start to see major problems within your franchise and your organization. The teams I feel like that approach this a little bit differently than some of these teams in terms of how they want to force shit down and make moves that maybe don't make sense sometimes. Grab and reach for players. That's when things don't work out. That's when things become problems. And you've seen the Steelers do that, guys. You've seen the Steelers go after Kenny Pickett, knowing that damn well. And we were all excited about Kenny Pickett, a guy from Pitt. You were hoping like, man, Dan Marino was from Pitt. The Steelers passed on him. This could be redemption for that, you know. We're going to go out there and grab this guy. It makes sense. It just feels right. And we all knew deep down in our heart that Kenny Pickett, and the Steelers knew it too, that he wasn't a franchise quarterback in the NFL. It just probably wasn't going to happen. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't turn into that eventually, you know, maybe in a different spot. I don't think that to be Cleveland, but stranger shit has happened. But you knew that wasn't a valuable pick at 20, if that's where they picked, 20, 21, wherever it was that year. But you knew that it wasn't the pick that was going to be one in which was a slam dunk and that it was just going to be, oh, franchise guy, here he is, he's in the building. We all knew that. Let's be honest. So that's kind of where I'm getting at with this whole thing of what I'm talking about with the Steelers and this draft and how we have to approach this if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. What's up, Ryan Stanley? Yeah, you build through the trenches, but for God's sakes, best player available. Absolutely, and if that's your approach, I think it all works out. Defensive line got to be the priority. I think you got to get that big run stuffer in the middle. I think that needs to be your real priority. I think you can grab a quality quarterback in the mid rounds. I think you can also next year swing for the fence if that's what you would like to do. And that's what makes this draft another reason why the Steelers shouldn't force the issue. Because I think that there is talent that's spread throughout. I think there's deep enough positions. And I think, for goodness sake, you got Mason Rudolph, who's not a bad quarterback. So again, Mason Rudolph not only is a cheaper option right now at this point in his career, that he's giving you some, I feel like, high value for the price you're paying. And he gives you a sense of calmness. He gives you a chance to reset. He gives you a chance to not force the issue inside of the 2025 draft. And I don't think many people are going to recognize that. And I don't think many people are going to go out there and say that. I may be in the minority here of what I'm talking about with Mason Rudolph, with how the Steelers could approach this, with how this could all work out for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This could all work out in a awesome way. This could just really, man, the Steelers could fall into a pile of shit here, which they have kind of, and come out smelling like a rose, guys. I mean, really. Zah says, I feel like we should be securing linemen on both sides of the field through free agency. Not sure why we neglect it through free agency. Well, they haven't, Zah, defensively. Defensively, they've secured many options. They've created a lot of depth there. They've signed several players through free agency along that defensive front. The offensive front, no, they haven't so far. They haven't went out there and really made any real waves. They've actually lost several. They've lost three: Herbig, Daniels, Moore. They've lost a lot of depth there. But sometimes addition by subtraction. We'll see how that goes. They still have time to continue to fill that out, which they will. I mean, they really have no choice. They're going to have to fill it out. But when you're looking for the foundational pieces, you're more than likely going to find those guys, especially along the offensive front. You're going to find them in the draft because, to be real honest, most of those guys that are real stable cornerstone pieces of an offensive line, when they hit free agency, their price tag is so damn high. It's so hard. It's just so hard sometimes to build your line that way, because sometimes you find yourself having so much invested in it to where it makes it difficult in other areas. And I'm not saying you don't invest heavily in your offensive line, but you got to do it in a smart way. You got to stay economical while you build the rest of your roster. You got to be able to draft well. You got to be able to put those young guys in place, because you want young guys to have the opportunity to gel with each other. That's the biggest thing. And I think that's the biggest thing every fan out there overlooks about the offensive line. I don't know about every team. I don't know about every coach, but I feel like every fan out there overlooks 90% of the time truly what an offensive line needs, and that is time together, playing together, a chance to get to know each other, man, a chance to figure each other out, and that there is so important, and it's neglected in a big way, man. Everybody wants it. You got to do this. Sometimes you could add the best offensive lineman in the league to a group of young guys, or a group of maybe, some young, some middle of the road type players, and you're going to expect a big result. But you know what? You might not get that. And that guy that you thought was going to just be lights out and you paid a lot of money for, they may not be able to work well there. And they may look bad. Why? Because that group isn't a cohesive unit. And offensive line isn't one of those things or individual positions to where, you're going to say, oh, well, that player just played lights out, and things be great. No, they got to play as a group. That is one thing that really, truly on the football field, that is a position group that is really dependent on each other too. You talk about the wide receiver and you say it's really dependent on the quarterback. Absolutely. But left guard is really dependent on the center and the left tackle. Right guard is really dependent on the left or right tackle and the center. The center's really dependent on his guards. Those things, you got to be a real complete group, guys. And if you have any real weak link in there, it rubs off and it creates a lot of trouble. You got to have a group that's together. They're thinking on the same page. They're working hard. They have the same goals. They're just really a cohesive group, and that's what you're looking for. Mark Malone in the house. I didn't realize we swapped a 7th for Seattle's 6th with the DK trade. Yes, that's why the Steelers have 3 7th-round picks, 224, 230, and 246. And that's why they don't have a 6th-round pick. Yeah, that's exactly right, Zah. That's why they have 3 7s. Which is great. We have a higher 6th and 7th. Yeah, they have no 6th. I don't believe 224's in the 6th. It's I believe they're all 3 7s. So no 6th rounder. They have 2183, 121, 162, and then those 3 7s, which is 224, 230, and 246. So in that 7th round, they do pick in a clump. So if there is a group of players still remaining that do have tremendous value or some value that you're really intrigued about seeing, you can go and grab them all. Boom, 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 right there quickly. Yeah. What's up, Tom Ford? Daniel Warman in the house. A lot of first-round picks are not first-round talent. They just have better agents. Yeah, that happens too. That's a big thing, guys, that I don't think a lot of people even realize too. Some of these people have really good marketing behind them, and it drives up their value tremendously because these people know how to drive their market up. And a player like, you look at Jackson Powers Johnson last year. Let's take him, for instance. Everybody claimed he was the best center in that draft. He was just lights out. He had great marketing behind him. Everybody was just loving that guy. And that's why I say he had great marketing behind him. It may not be, for commercials and shit. That may not be what I'm talking about. I'm talking about marketing that player to NFL teams. Everybody was in love with him. He was just it. Everybody just was, man, he's the best center in this draft. Turns out, I think that Zach Frazier was. And that's just, I believe it showed. So just take that for just one quick reference of maybe somebody getting a little bit hyped, or overhyped, and teams falling for it. They fall in love. They're hearing all the shit, the highlight tapes, the blah, blah, blah. You got to really be true independent evaluators when it comes to this draft thing. You really do. You can't rely on anybody's outside information. If you are a team and your scouting department is going to work, they need to tune everything out. They literally, I'm not saying you tune out like a tip here or there, or, a coach tells you, hey, I got these handful of guys right here. These guys at certain positions. Keep an eye on them. No, do that. But what I'm saying is you tune out what every other team in the NFL is talking about. You tune it out. And I know you'd be like, oh, I don't want to miss something. No, bullshit. You got to stay focused on what you're seeing. You got to watch those players. You got to talk to those players. You got to get a feeling for those players. You can't rely on anybody else's evaluation at all. You can't rely on the Mel Kipers and all these guys that are never fucking right anyway. You can't rely on their evaluations. You got to do your own thing. What's up, American Militia? D, the draft's really a blizzard. You'll never know if your picks become the next Brady or Trevor Lawrence. Well, absolutely. You're 1,000% right. You're never going to know. The draft is like a blizzard. It is like a giant lottery, man. No player is a 1,000% guarantee. No player is a slam dunk. Anything could happen. Anything. God forbid they come into camp and boom, they're injured. They may never get back to where they were, to where you believed they were. They may never get to that spot again. So you may have spent a 15th pick overall in the first round, and that player may never develop into that, may never develop into anything. And there's lost draft capital. Thank you. Super chat coming from our boy to Evil to Hope. Kenny Pickett should be a head coach and Tomlin could be a QB. Yeah, wouldn't you like to see Mikey Tomlin out there from William and Mary getting it done? Mikey T wasn't too bad as a player, man. He wasn't too bad. I mean, he wasn't NFL talent or anything, but man, he put it out there a little bit. Kenny Pickett might be a coach sooner than you think. Thank you, Too Evil. Appreciate the super, man. Thank you, my friend. Miss Pittsburgh in the house. Mark Malone. At least they didn't trade up for him like they did with Bush. Yeah, that was a big failure, man. That was like when that dude, White, was the last name of that guy. Devin White, I believe. When he went off the board and the Steelers panicked and they traded up. And they got a guy that they might not necessarily been tops on their list, but they were like, we like this guy, but you know what? Shit, we're going to go with it. And they traded up and they spent some draft capital on it. They spent some resources on that. And, those don't work out all the time. And that's why I say you got to be really leery about what kind of trades you make, what kind of shit you do. What's up, Jamal? What's up, Lindsay? What's up, Eminem? Najee running behind which line? What do you mean? I don't even know what you're talking about. I had to go through the chat again. Because they treated him like garbage. Justin was that guy, but he slipped through the cracks. That's from Za. I don't think they treated him like garbage. I just think that the situation was what it was. They didn't want to spend a fourth-round pick on him. And guys, honestly, nobody wanted to offer that for Justin Fields. I mean, nobody. Why do you think the Steelers were able to get him at such a discounted rate? Nobody was willing to do that at that time. And I get it. I'm a big Justin fan with what he did last year. I thought it was special. I thought it was good. Was it an elite level quarterback play? No, it wasn't. I'm not going to sit here and lie about that. Was it $40 million or $40 million over 2 seasons, $30 million fully guaranteed good? No, it wasn't. And we got to be real about that. But again, they didn't treat him like trash. They gave him an opportunity to get out of a real shitty situation in Chicago, guys. Now, the situation may be better now that they've changed some coaches yet again. We'll see how that all works out. You know, I still think that they really flopped in the draft with who they took. Caleb Williams isn't going to be that guy, but that's my opinion. I think Jaden Daniels was the clear-cut number 1 last year in that draft, but I digress. We'll see how that all plays out. But definitely, I think Justin was not in a good situation with the Bears, and he wanted out of there anyway. So I think Justin this year went for the money. I don't think it was about how the Steelers treated him. He could say that now and cover up that, you know, he went for the Bucks, which he does. He shouldn't have to hide that. If that's what he wanted to do, that's what he wanted to do. And that's cool. That's fine. I don't think he was a bad guy. I don't think he was a bad human. I don't think he was a bad player. I think he was really good. And if the Steelers could have got him at the right price, I was all for bringing him back. I think it should have been done. But again, I was in the camp of Justin Fields was a $10 to $12 million a year quarterback with what he did. That's just me. You know? That's just how I look at it. And then I love how everybody wants to talk about this. And I got to bring this up, and I want to put this into perspective for Steelers fans. If you look at what Justin Fields did over 6 games, 4-2, correct? I get that. That was the last opportunity we had to see Justin Fields. We're not even looking at the massive amounts of turnovers, poor record, or nothing in Chicago. We're going to erase that off. The last we saw Justin Fields inside of a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform, he went 4-2. Then, I want to say the last time you looked at Mason Rudolph in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform, and we're going to wipe everything else out and just compare the two. Mason Rudolph won those last 3 regular season games. He was in it in that playoff game with a team that probably shouldn't even have been there in the Steelers. And he still was competitive. They were within 7 points late in that game. It wasn't like some people make it out to be. But you look at what Mason was able to do with how he was able to throw the football. And you look at the rate that he was able to throw it for big yardage across the middle. Utilize the checkdowns when needed. Not have happy feet in the pocket. Not have to run all over the place. He could stand tall, make the throws. George Pickens had his best game ever under Mason Rudolph. You look at those things, and you look at what Justin did. He grew a hell of a lot. He did some good things. He was able to use his legs when he had to. He tried to make some big throws from the pocket. They always didn't work out, but he did make some. His anticipation was slightly better, but wasn't where it needed to be. You look at Mason's anticipation and the way he was able to look at things. It was really good. So if I were to say both of those guys off the last time I saw them in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform, if I were going to pay anybody $40 million, it would be Mason. And I'm not saying that for any other reason other than performance. And that's the truth. I mean, it's the God's honest truth. Tom Ford in the house. I pray to God A-Rod either picks the Giants or retires. They need to stick with Mason and draft a quarterback. Yeah, I agree, Tom. The plan should be real simple, real clear cut. This isn't rocket science again, guys. It's draft young quarterbacks. Continue to build this roster with the money that you have available. Make it a real super roster. And when you put a guy like Mason Rudolph behind it, you're still going to be competitive. You're still going to be that 9, 10, 11 win team under Mike Tomlin that you always are. And nothing's going to change on that front. But yet you still have hope when you make a really, really good roster that maybe you do a little bit more. And in the meantime, you're trying to find that young guy that you're going to slide in behind a team that's really, really good. An offensive line that's going to have a chance to develop and grow. By then, hopefully you have a real run stuffer on that defensive front that allows Keanu and Cam to do their thing and rush the passer and be effective in other ways other than just being that nose type role where they're not a fit for that. You want that nose type guy in there. You hope that they have that clear rotation at the defensive front positions. And then you look and say, man, I hope the additions in the secondary have made a difference. Adding a safety, adding 2 corners, adding a lot of things, to where your hopes are high, and you add DK Metcalf for here next year. By the time next offseason rolls around, everybody's going to be talking about how cheap DK Metcalf truly is. That's the craziness of that deal. But you're adding that. Maybe you have George Pickens. Maybe you have some other wide receivers that step up on top of that. And this team is really, really good. Maybe that's the truth. But Mason Rudolph behind that team can get it done. In the meantime, you can go out there and look for your guy. You can go out there and look for that young guy and take big swings at it in the draft and feel real comfortable doing so. And then when you do have that young guy in the building, you don't feel like shit because they're going out there behind a team that they're going to get fucking slaughtered, guys. You don't want that. You want them to come into an ideal situation and foster and really help grow that player. And I get it. Sometimes you got to come in and you got to take your lumps and get it done. I get that. And that builds some toughness and character. But ideally, the Steelers haven't been able to grow anybody and cultivate anybody at that quarterback position in quite some time. And right now, I think making the most ideal situation, the perfect situation, the most perfect situation that you can create as a franchise for a rookie quarterback is the only way to go. That's it. That's the way they got to do this, man. All right, guys, we're about 26 minutes into the best show on YouTube. That's Mike Drop Sports and the show Steel City Live. I'm your host, Jason. As always, make sure you're double tapping that screen, hitting the shit out of that like button, sending us out into that YouTube algorithm. I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Join the conversation each and every day here on the channel. Again, we always appreciate you guys. You guys are highly valued, truly, truly highly valued, man. And I feel like this is the best home for football fans in general. Just come here to have the conversations. I try to answer as many as I can. Back in the day, we could answer every question and every comment, but we can't do that anymore. We tried to. But it's really, really hard. So bear with me as best I can. I go through as many of your questions as possible. If you want to have your question read right away, super chats are always available. And we appreciate that to help support our work. American Militia, the disrespect Mason gets is crazy. He is a feasible starter. Yeah, it definitely is troublesome. Once somebody's labeled and put down to that bottom rung in the NFL, it is really, really hard, guys, to claw your way out of it. However, I feel like God has put Mason into a real good situation right now. And it may not seem just perfect just yet, but I don't think they're going to bring anybody else in. I really, truly don't. And for instance, say they do bring back Russell Wilson. Say Aaron Rodgers goes somewhere else or retires. And he doesn't come to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Mason's there, and the Steelers are still just uneasy, and they say to themselves, we want to add that veteran guy. We're going to bring Russ back. I don't think Russ should be handed the keys to the franchise. I don't think Russ should be anointed starter from day one. I think that he should have to go out there and earn it. And I think this, too. If that is the case, and say Russ is the starter week 1 for your Pittsburgh Steelers, say that to be the case. This is hypothetical. And he's out there and he has one of those skids and he performs the way that the Steelers performed and the franchise isn't responding. The team isn't responding. Mike Tomlin got to grow a set of cojones and sit Russell Wilson down and not let his stardom and his pull in the league, per se, blind Mike. Mike can't allow that to blind him. He has to be able to have a real conversation with himself and say what's best for this football team, and maybe sitting Russell Wilson would be the answer. He has to allow himself to be able to do those things, or otherwise, guys, this is going to maybe be a disaster, or just be status quo again, and you're never really ever going to get to see what Mason Rudolph can do being the starter from the day one of minicamp throughout the whole season. You're never going to get to see that, ever. Mark says, I'm paranoid they're going to bring back the midget. I'm becoming very paranoid of that myself. And here's the thing, guys. We saw what Russell Wilson is in this offense. But here's another thing. I don't think the Steelers are ultra interested in Russell Wilson. There's been no offer extended. There's been nothing really talked about, at least publicly. There's tremendous amounts of rumors about him, Arthur Smith, and how that all transpired. I don't think that there's a heavy interest there, but I'm with Mark. I seem to think that that's going to end up being the case. And I don't know if the whole locker room's really on board with that. I don't think anybody dislikes Russ the man. I don't think that's the case. I think they dislike Russ and what he's going to be able to do for this football team. That's what I think. I think Arthur Smith wants something different, something younger. And I just think they butted heads maybe a little bit in a passive-aggressive type way. Maybe not a yelling at each other way, but backhanded shit. You know what I mean? A little tug and pull back and forth between the two. Downtown Joel Broadway in the house. Eminem, no Russ. Still got game. He will have a great year if he comes back. Teams switch quarterbacks too much. That's the real issue. Only greats can switch teams and win. I agree. You got to give quarterbacks a chance. I'm all about that, no doubt. I can agree with that part, Eminem. But I got to say this. I don't think they switch too much sometimes. Sometimes you just know. You know what I mean? I think if there's somebody that shows you a little intrigue and you're like, oh, man, I'm intrigued about this player, I'll go through a couple years of growing pains and see where they're at. Okay, there's those guys. And then there's guys maybe that just get labeled badly and, they don't give them a chance. Even if they do come out there and do good things, they still sit them down. We've seen that with Mason. We've seen that with many other quarterbacks in the NFL. Everybody doesn't get a fair shake. I see what you're saying. I don't know if Russ has a great year if he comes back. I don't know. And again, we all could be wrong if we're doubting it. And you could be right. And again, so many things could happen. If I'm a betting man, though, I think the interest with the Steelers and Russell Wilson is very, very limited. And I think that's very justified. Was Russ the main issue with the Pittsburgh Steelers last year offensively? Absolutely not. He was probably third or fourth on the list after the season I've evaluated. He was probably maybe even fourth, fifth. He wasn't the main issue, and I'm not saying that. But did he have some hand in it? Absolutely. He had some bad points, man. And not being able to throw the football over the middle field is a real curse, man. It really limits you, especially if you're built like the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have two tight ends right now in that building that they need to be utilizing. And if you can only throw them the ball on the edges, they're not going to be used, guys. And you'll sit there and you ask yourself, why is Pat Freiermuth not getting more passes? Why isn't he getting involved more? He needs to be involved more. Why aren't they utilizing Big Darnell? Why aren't they utilizing Mount Washington? What the hell? Arthur Smith sucks. He doesn't know what he's doing. He can't game plan. Guys, you're looking at a quarterback that has to be on the move to be able to get the football out to those guys. And those guys can't get the football typically over the middle of the field. Why? Because Russ is severely deficient in that category. And that's the reasons why you don't see those guys have higher amounts of targets. That is the reality. That is the truth. Now, when Russ gets flushed out of the pocket and he's on the move and he's out there rolling out, there he goes. Look in Cincinnati where he hit move for that big tutty. Why? He was out there on the move, he was scrambling, and lo and behold, Pat was able to sit down inside of the hole, inside of a hole of a defense, and Russ was able to put it on him. If that was from the pocket, that pass probably isn't completed. You've seen a couple here and there passes from the pocket over the middle. A couple. And those were more timing anticipation type throws that are a little dangerous. You know what I mean? Because Russ isn't seeing it. He's just letting it rip and hoping that that's going to be the case. And sometimes those are open and they hit him. But that's why it's so limited, guys. That's why the opportunities are so limited, because you can only gamble so much with those anticipation, not seeing it type throws. The quarterback has to be able to see it, and he has to be able to see it everywhere. And if he can't, it's an issue. Now, there's players like Kyler Murray. There's players that are smaller that can do those things. There's the Doug Flutys of the world. He was a small quarterback before being a small quarterback was fucking cool. And he was super athletic. Before the Bryce Youngs of the world, before the Kyler Murrays, the Russell Wilsons, there was Doug Flutie, and he did it at a high level. But again, guys, it's very, very rare, and it's very difficult, and the game is definitely different for a smaller quarterback than it is for a 6'5" guy back there standing tall, delivering the football down the field where he can see the whole damn field, man, and you're not taking huge chunks of the field out. And then when you're talking about this, just switch it over to defense. When we're talking defense here on the show, and we're talking about defensively what we want the Pittsburgh Steelers to do in order to be successful. And that's eliminate sections of the field. Why? Because there's quality talent there, and you're trying to force the offense into doing something that they don't want to do all the time. But you're making them one-dimensional. You're making them have to utilize places that you're going to have troops, man. You're going to have places stacked up, i.e. the box, when they load the box up on the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they know they're going to run the ball excessively and not be able to pass it at a high rate. Those are the things. That's what you're doing, and that's what teams do to the Steelers. They eliminate the middle of the field, and they don't even have to work hard at it. They allow the Steelers to eliminate it for them. Just saying. These are just a lot of truths. And I know we get off on side roads sometimes, but that's just, it is what it is, guys. All right, double tap that screen for us. We're about 40 minutes into America's best sports show. That's right here. That's Mike Drop Sports in Steel City Live. We truly appreciate it. Hit the shit out of that like button, guys. Beat the shit out of it. It's absolutely free. Double tap that screen or hit 3 little white dots up in the right-hand corner of your screen if you're on your phone. That'll bring down the like box also, and you can hit it there. Super chats are always open. Feel free to support us here at Mike Drop Sports. We keep this show absolutely ad-free here on the live vertical presentation here on YouTube. So pay us back by hitting that like button. I'm going to try to get through what's up, Steel43. See you. Let me see if there's anybody else. D, what's up? See you. Jonathan, what's up? I see you guys. I'm going to try to get to all these comments. I just want to say hello, and I appreciate you guys so very, very much for joining us. And you are the reason that we are successful here, and we are building each and every day, man. I meant to tell you that, guys, and I wanted to say thank you real quick before I forget. Thank you so much for hitting that like button and sharing the show and all that and coming here every single day, because we are really, we've been gaining steady amounts of subscribers every day. Like, that is a plus. We may not gain 100 every day, but we definitely gain subscribers every day, and that is because of you guys, and that is awesome, and I appreciate it. Downtown John Broadway in the house says, yes, I agree. Look at the 70 Steelers. Steelers team in the line and how they controlled the defensive line against the Raiders, Cowboys, and Browns. Yeah, they were dominant in the trenches, absolutely. And that is truly how you build a dynasty, no doubt about it, Downtown. Russ can't see over the middle, lost 5 in a row, couldn't win a playoff game, sacked 5 times in one game. I can go on for days on how Russ is limited. That's from Zah. Yeah, no doubt, man. I can't disagree. Russ is trash. I don't know what game you're watching. It sure wasn't the Steelers game. Mark Malone, the Steelers website shows 1 and 3 sevens. Yeah, they have 21, 83, 121, 162, 224, 230, and 246. I think that's what you're saying too, Mark. Yeah, they have a first round and then 3/7 and a third round, a fourth round, and a fifth round. Um, they have no fourth and no second because Justin Fields. No, they should have a fourth. One of those should be a fourth. Yeah, 162 is a fourth. So Justin Fields took the sixth that they had for that, and then they swapped picks with Seattle, and that gave them another seventh and gave Seattle their other sixth. So that's how that worked, I believe. I just go off of what numbers they have. I hate keeping track of all the trades and shit, guys. If you look at the Steelers website, all these picks have after, like, I don't even know if it's a Steelers website or not, whatever, whenever I look up picks, it'll say pick 224 via. And it's a team the Steelers didn't even do business with. You know what I mean? These picks get all traded around. Giants have more quarterbacks thrown to neighbors in the 24 season than the Bills' Super Bowl losses. Mark Malone, we didn't have a six because of bust and trade, but now do because we traded Seattle one of our sevenths for their six. No, I think we had two. I'm not sure, Mark. I'll definitively look and see, though, because you're bringing it up. I'll definitively look and have it for tomorrow's show. Exactly where each pick was, where every pick went from, and why it's what it is, and what each pick is in each round. I can actually look maybe right now. I might even have it right now. Let me see, buddy. I might have it here right now. So they pick in round 4, 121. So 121 is round 4. Round 3 is pick 83. Round 5, 162. That's pick one. Okay, 162 is round 5. And then they have 224, 230, and 246. Those are all 7th rounders, Mark. So that's exactly how it breaks down. Najee's ego is talking shit. He had more opportunities than any back out there. Our identity on offense is always to run the football, but it's hard to have that identity with a guy who averaged 3 yards per carry. Yeah, and I mean, Najee definitely wasn't a first-round talent. I'm sorry, guys, and I know some people are going to disagree with me on that, and that's okay. And they're going to say, well, he had 1,000 yards. Look at his yards per carry. Look at his yards average per game, guys. That's what you're looking for. And yes, Najee had great traits. He showed up every week. He ran hard for you. He gave you everything. He didn't back down. Najee wasn't a bad teammate. None of that. He just wasn't that guy. He wasn't Derrick Henry like everybody wanted to make him out to be and what the Steelers thought he was going to be. He's not that guy. And for whatever reason, he had to leave, and for whatever reason, the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't want to pay him. It's cut and dry and simple. The guy didn't even average 60 yards per game behind one of the league's most run-heavy offenses, if not the most run-heavy offenses. And I get it. The offensive line does play into that. No doubt about it. So does quarterback play. So does a lot of things. Coaching, everything. But if you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, the guy had 4 years. 4 years. It is what it is. You got to move on sometimes. And again, Najee was not a bad dude. He was not a horrible player. But he wasn't a first-round player to me. He wasn't that. He wasn't that star. He couldn't put the football team on his back and carry it like a Saquon Barkley can. He just couldn't. And that's okay. Everybody isn't like that. I wish Najee the best. He may go out to Los Angeles and light the world on fire running behind guys like Joe Alt. Maybe he does, and I hope he does. I hope Najee has success. I don't want to see Najee fail. I didn't think he was a bad guy. But it didn't work out. For whatever reason, it didn't work out in Pittsburgh. Let's keep going through the chat. In the meantime, double tap that screen, guys. Let me get a drink. Hit that like button for us. Sleeping lady in the house. Next year we play Jets and Chargers. We have an opportunity to show if moving off of Najee and Justin was a better move. Can't wait to see how these offseason moves work out. Russ in Cleveland too. He might be. He might be. He definitely. They never offered him a contract though. That's another thing, guys. None of these teams he went to visit offered Russ a contract. None of them. You know what's so crazy, guys? Again, double tap that screen, guys. Let's hit those likes. Let's get those likes up real quick. Don't forget to get inside here quickly because we are on our pace to 10,000 subscribers. Once we hit that, we are going to give away our signed authentic TJ Watt game jersey for all of you guys to have a chance at winning. So make sure you help us get there. In the meantime, though, man, beat the shit out of that like button. It's absolutely free, man. But you know what's crazy? Mike Williams back in a Chargers uniform. Najee Harris in a Chargers uniform. Dante Jackson in a Chargers uniform. Man, did they just raid the cupboard of the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025 here, man. Crazy. Devin Burkett in the house. Once the Steelers establish their trenches and our defense plays up to their pay grade, we have a massive opportunity to take home another Lamar Hunt trophy. We are the best franchise in all of sports. Zach Curry, 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns in 6 games. With 18 games, that means 3,000 yards and 30 touchdowns roughly. 17 game season, 18 weeks. Yep. Hold on, man. Mark Malone, 4-2 equals 1 loss away from 500. 2 losses away. Jonathan Ewell, Mason Rudolph can really show out. Robert Road in the house. Fields is 29th in QBR since he came into the league. In all 4 wins, Fields with the Steelers, the defense gave up 13 or fewer points. And Robert brings up a good point there, guys. He brings that up also. The defense played really well during that 6-game stretch. No doubt about that. So that's a factor in that. This is the ultimate team game, guys. And a lot of people forget that. A lot of people don't want to hear about the team. They just want to pick stats out on individual people and be like, yo, blah, 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 blah. But again, when the defense is giving up 13 or fewer points, that comes into play. You know? It's definitely a factor. This is the ultimate team game, my friends. The ultimate. Nicholas Santiago goes, go Eagles. I don't see Tomlin letting Mason start. That's from Lindsay. He might not have a choice, Lindsay. He might not. Football is easier the first 6 games of the season than the tail end. I wouldn't call the NFL easy any week. The NFL is probably the most competitive league in all of sports. Every team is loaded up with good players, especially when you're trying to field a 53-man roster. The talent is spread out pretty good over all the teams. So I think football is the most competitive. I have to say that. Zah says Tomlin would never put the right person in. Last year was a prime example. Downtown, Jason, all good points, but why? Why do we just fall short in the first round for the last 9 seasons? Tomlin foolery. I don't know, man. I don't know if I'd blame it all on Tomlin. I mean, I'll lay the blame at his feet when it definitely is due. I mean, he has say in it. I guarantee he does. I wouldn't put it all at Tomlin. I feel like Colbert wasn't as great his last couple seasons with the Steelers, but Kevin Colbert overall was a fantastic general manager for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I won't never say that he wasn't. I think Omar's done really, really well. I don't think they've failed in the first round the last couple seasons under Omar. I don't think Broderick Jones is a failure, guys. And I know a lot of you over one season have had a heart attack over it, and I get it. I understand it. And I see what you see. But, guys, I got real confidence in Broderick Jones. He's got a lot of strength, a lot of brute force. Maybe he'll be comfortable back over there. I don't think it matters to him. He's been on record saying he doesn't care what side he's on. But I think you'll see Broderick Jones pull himself out of that rut. And I think Troy Fautanu had a lot of good things going for him, man. A lot of things. So we'll see. And who'd they pick before that? So it was Fautanu. Oh, Kenny Pickett. That was a failure. Yeah, so, I mean, they've had some hits. They've had some misses, definitely. But overall, definitely, I think for the majority, I believe the Steelers do pretty well in the draft. That sounds like excuses, Eminem. Craig Werlow in the house. It may not be rocket science, but for Tomlin and coaching staff, it is. They've got to be better, guys. They've got to be better. And I heard one podcaster out there, and I'm not going to throw their name into the mud or anything like that. I'm not going to sit here and act like they're right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and they're wrong. I'm not going to do that because I respect the person. But they went out there, and I heard them say, a lot of people don't give Mike Tomlin credit. A lot of people don't give him enough credit. I've given Mike Tomlin a lot of credit for the things he's done well, but I will not turn a blind eye to the things that he's done wrong. And I don't think that he deserves a free pass for that. There are things Mike Tomlin does in situational football that are just horrible, horrible. There are things in terms of clock management and just the way the game flows and the way he handles those situations that are inexcusable for a coach that's been in the league for 18 years. There's also player personnel roster moves that sometimes are absolutely inexcusable for a guy that's been in the league for 18 years. And I believe Mike Tomlin allows his ego to get in the way for a majority of these situations. That's the truth. Has Mike Tomlin done a lot for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Absolutely. Has he been a good coach for the Steelers overall? Absolutely. But I don't find him to be a Hall of Fame type guy right now. I think he has to prove a couple things here. I think he has to prove a couple things because I know that same podcaster went out there and said he didn't win with Bill Cowher's team. He didn't get handed the keys to a Super Bowl roster. I beg to differ with that. And again, I may be wrong. That person may be right, or I may be right and that person may be wrong. That's what these are for. That's the way we need to discuss this. That's what these shows are for, to talk about these things. But again, I feel like Mike Tomlin definitely got handed a better situation, a far better situation than 99.9% of the head coaches, of the new head coaches that come into this league, that get a team, that get a chance, that get an opportunity. He got handed a far, far better situation with a team that had just won a fucking Super Bowl recently. I'm just saying, a lot of head coaches don't get the keys of a team that just won a Super Bowl and the real immediate. That doesn't happen, guys. And that has to be taken into account. That can't be discounted. That can't be ignored and act like, oh, he built that team. He did not. He did not. He was a young head coach coming to that football team with a team that had just won a Super Bowl not long before his arrival. Bill Cowher's departure from that franchise was not one in which it was a bad performance type thing. It was that Bill Cowher's wife was dying from a terminal disease, a cancer, skin cancer. His wife, Kay. That's why Bill moved on. And Mike was handed a real great opportunity. And I don't know why that's a problem, why that's an issue, why it can't be talked about. Because it is the truth, guys. Mike Tomlin got put into a situation that 99.9999999% of coaches don't get put into in the NFL when they become a head coach. That is reality. And I know, again, I'm not dogging anybody. But man, you got to look at it all. You got to look at it all. They sat Fields for a reason. No chance he can throw versus good defense. I mean, Russ did throw some good balls. He threw good deep balls, good corner balls, good balls to the sideline. But, man, it was very limited. I don't think either one of them were perfect last year. So, guys, let me get a drink. The reality of the situation last year for the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Neither quarterback that was put into place did an exceptional job. That's reality, guys. So we could sit here and argue about two guys that aren't on this team, and we could sit here and continue to waste our conversations talking about two guys that aren't even on the Steelers roster currently, that neither one of them played well. Neither one. Did they have their moments? Absolutely. I thought Justin had good growth. I thought Russ played well when he came in at times. I thought that both of them had their moments. But overall, none of us can sit here and give a good grade to either one of them for their performance overall in the season. We can talk about the moments they had. We can talk about some of the growth Justin Fields had, because I think he did. I think he did improve. But overall, was his performance great? No. Was Russ's performance great? No. That's the truth, guys. That's the truth. Why continue to waste valuable time on people that are moved on or waiting to figure out what they want to do and aren't on this roster? And if you think for 1 second the Steelers thought that Russell Wilson did a good enough job last year for the Steelers in 2024 that they have super high hopes that he can take them far into the playoffs and win a Super Bowl, do you think for 1 fucking second that he'd be sitting out there in free agency right now and the Steelers continually waiting on Aaron Rodgers? Do you think that that would be the situation, guys? I mean, be honest with yourselves. That wouldn't be the situation. If the Steelers had tremendous hope and tremendous faith in what Russell Wilson can do, he would not be sitting there right now on the free agency block trying to figure out what shitty team he could go play for. Real, guys. These are true things. That's why you come to Mike Drop Sports, because I talk about things that are true. And you guys are in the chat and you give me all these ideas. You talk about all this stuff. You are very knowledgeable. And I don't want the Steelers franchise or the mainstream media to insult your intelligence. You all see this. You've all watched this unfold. And again, my friends, Russell Wilson would be under contract currently for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they had any damn faith that he could get them to the 7th Lombardi Trophy and to be the league's have the league's most Super Bowl wins. If you thought for 1 second they thought he could do it, he would be here. I'm just saying. Now, is he a consolation prize that they may settle for? Absolutely, which I think is a grave fucking mistake when you got two on a roster, baby. When you got Mason. I'm sorry. I'm not going to discount Mason Rudolph, man. I'm not writing him off. I feel like Mason Rudolph still got tremendous upside. Let's keep going through the chat. I'm going to try to find some new people that I haven't mentioned yet. Black and Gold in the house. Great show as usual. I'm not feeling the re-sign of Pierre. I feel like we could have drafted a cornerback to replace him or hopefully move Ryan Watts to cornerback, and I don't know much of Thornhill, any info. Pierre is a depth piece, guys. Don't get overly frustrated with Pierre, because here's the real facts. The Steelers could still sign a cornerback and draft a cornerback in the draft. They could still bring in more cornerbacks. They've brought in Darius Slay. Now they've lost Dante Jackson. But they brought in Slay. Slay's probably a better player than Dante Jackson. Now, at this stage of his career, I still think Slay's better. They brought in Eccles. They still have a rising guy in Beanie Bishop to play some of that slot role. Cam Sutton was rumored to still be in the building hanging out. Take that for what you will. Maybe he's just working out. It is what it is, but he's not currently signed to the Steelers. But again, they still have the opportunity to go out there and draft somebody. They still have the opportunity to bring even more players in. But these moves that you're talking about, Ryan Watts, again, a young guy that's a project still, you don't know much about. But guys, these guys are more depth pieces down the depth chart. And they can be released, cut, whatever, traded, done whatever with. That really doesn't hurt the football team to add bigger additions, to make bigger moves. So don't get too overly concerned with the Pierres and things of that nature that are coming in. Yes, depth is key, man. But we look at depth more during the regular season. Right now, let this roster shake out. See how these guys all go. Sign as many people as you can get. Quality people as you can get that you're allowed to have signed. Do what you got to do and let it sort itself out when you get to training camp and things of that nature. That's how you approach this, guys. That's how you approach this. They know they wasn't going to win with Fields, so why not try a quarterback who has won it before? Who are you talking about? Russ or Rodgers? Neither one of them have won a Super Bowl in quite some time. Russ has played in one way more recently than Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers hasn't won a fucking Super Bowl in 15 years. Maybe even longer. It's been a long time. Probably 15 years. Danny George, what's up, my friend? D in the house. Mason had the best quarterback play since Big Ben. Yes, Mason statistically, no doubt, has been the best quarterback for the Steelers since Ben Roethlisberger, no doubt. I mean, that's not saying much when you've had Mitchell Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, Devlin Duck Hodges, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson had high hopes. I had high hopes for Russ, man. I thought he was going to come in and light it up. Justin, he's just not proven enough. I like Justin, but I still feel like if you talk about the best stretch as a Pittsburgh Steeler in an important part since Ben Roethlisberger, it was Mason. That 4 games that Mason came in 2023 was phenomenal. He was a top 5 NFL quarterback statistically. For everybody that loves stats, we sure ignore that stat when it comes to talking about Mason Rudolph. We sure throw that stat in the fucking garbage, right? We just take that stat, crumple it up, and say, fuck it, man. Fuck it, it's Mason. We don't want to hear about it. We don't want to talk about it, right? We can't just pick and choose stats when we want to, when it's convenient to fit our narrative or our conversation. That ain't how it rolls, my friends. Double tap the shit out of that screen here for us on Steel City Live. We are on a fucking roll here tonight. Share the show, like the show, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Ganja King B, what's up? Tam Manta, what's up? Who's the rookie quarterback we may draft? I think the most realistic option, guys, and I'll answer this, and I'm tired of talking about quarterback, but I'll answer this. For Jonathan, who do I think is a quarterback that the Steelers may draft? I think it is going to be Will Howard or Tyler Shuck. That is the 2 options that I believe are the most realistic for the Pittsburgh Steelers to be there, that player to be there when they're going to be able to select. And I think they'll be there. It'll either be pick 83 or 121. They will draft Tyler Shuck or Will Howard. That's what I believe. Now, we know this is Mike Tomlin's team, and he has been watering at the mouth for a running back at the quarterback position. That's all he wants, is to run the football and forget the fucking pass game. We don't care about that. We'll go get DK Metcalf, but we'll go get fucking Jalen Milroe from fucking Alabama. I want a guy who can throw the fucking football. Jackson Dart, baby. Shador Sanders. I want a guy who can fucking chuck the rock. Tyler Shuck. I want a guy who can sling that shit. And being athletic it don't hurt. I love it. But I don't want that to be your sole thing. I don't want that to be the only thing you do. I want you to be a quarterback first. I want you to look at the defenses and understand and recognize bad formations and where you can take advantage of certain defensive fronts. I want that for my quarterback. I don't want a quarterback that has happy feet back there and is going to take off running at the first sign of danger. I don't want that. I want a quarterback that's going to stand tall in the pocket, deliver the football over the middle, deliver the football with anticipation, and realize this isn't college, that people aren't going to be college open in the NFL. Understand that. Understand that you can't stand back there for 10 seconds and think you're going to have all the time in the world. You have to be able to process quickly. That is the biggest thing, guys. When you are looking at quarterbacks at the NFL level, when these kids are coming out of college, when these young men are coming out of college, I got to say, when you're talking about attributes, processing, this part right here has to be key, baby. Has to be key. It's the NFL. You don't have all day to make decisions. Everybody's good. And why do you think the running back at the quarterback position has been such a hot thing lately? Why do we all think that? Do you think the NFL all of a sudden decided that guys that stand in the pocket, that dissect defenses, that's not the real way to go to have long-term success? Do you think the NFL's forgot about that? The answer to that question is no. They haven't forgot about that. But what situation are they put in now with these guys? They want these immediate draft picks. Fan bases are restless. They want immediate results. And how do you get immediate results? How do you get immediate output from these guys without much growth at the NFL level? You put them back there, you let them run the RPO bullshit, and you let them run the football all over the fucking place. That's how you avoid cultivating a quarterback, growing a quarterback. That's how you avoid that. That's how you get instant results. But guys, it doesn't get you to win Lombardis. It doesn't. It doesn't. And Jalen Hurts is the first running quarterback that's successful at running that's won a championship. That, honestly, I mean, the first one. He's the first one. Other guys have been more pocket passer first. And I thought Jalen did a phenomenal job in the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts really, I thought, took a growth step in the Super Bowl. I thought Jalen Hurts threw from the pocket very efficiently inside of the Super Bowl. I thought he was very, very effective. I thought he was very accurate, very smart, very, very good at identifying what the Kansas City Chiefs were doing and exploiting those things. I thought Jalen Hurts was phenomenal in the Super Bowl. So it can be done, but you got to be able to stand in there. And why did the Eagles win that Super Bowl? Well, the defense helped a lot. No doubt about that. But Jalen Hurts was a real presence in the pocket. He was super effective. He was calm, and he really did a masterful job. He really, really did. Hope it's Dart or Milroe if he's gone. Milroe's a mistake, guys. I'll keep saying that. I know some of you really love Milroe. He is a giant, 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 giant. I can't say it even anymore. He is a massive, massive mistake. If you get him in the 7th round, whatever. That's okay, cool. But he is a massive mistake, guys. Massive. Mark Malone, yeah, Mason is set up to succeed. If they let him start game one, many people are going to be surprised. Yeah, but a lot of people won't admit it, man. They'll get on the Mason train and it'll be all like we forget about everything that everybody said about him, and how bad he was. And the national media will act like everything they said about him doesn't exist anymore and how great he is and how right. They told you so. That'll be the conversation. B House 808, fun watching Metcalf and Pickens when they don't have anyone to throw them the ball. What are you talking about? Mason fucking Rudolph, my friends. Mason fucking Rudolph can throw him the football, man. Like, share, subscribe to the best channel on YouTube. That's right here on Mike Drop Sports and Show Steel City Live. I'm your host, Jason. As always, we're fucking rolling here tonight. I'm going to try to get through a couple more. But in the meantime, if you're not subscribed, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for, man. Subscribe to the best channel on YouTube. And also, hit the shit out of that like button and share the show. Help spread the word of the channel. Let's keep going here. Where am I? Oh, shit. Where am I? There we go. Tim says, what about a Jimmy G or a Case Keenum? I don't know, man. I mean, they're not bad options if you're looking for older people, Steel 43, it's not about height in Pittsburgh, though, because the coach eliminates the middle of the field, LOL. I think Russ played a lot into that, too. No doubt. No doubt. I think more Russ than anything. But you're right. Mike Tomlin plays ultra-conservative, man. Tom Ford, I seen a clickbait rumor that was saying the Cardinals didn't want to pay Kyler Murray so the Steelers could get him. Yeah, the price would be massive, I'm sure, too. You know what I mean? Thanks, American Militia. Appreciate it. Black and Gold, sorry, didn't mean the Titans team, but the huge beasts on the O-line and D-line. Steelers, damn kitten mittens from Stephen Carpenter. Hey, what's up, Stephen? Let's weld, man. Richie Jackson, Steelers are trash. Yeah, you're trash too, Richie. Christoph, what's up, man? Christoph, Najee Harris tries to jump over tackles to try to avoid knee injuries. It ain't hard to figure out. Yeah, he tries to play like Barry Sanders when he should be trying to play like Derrick Henry, That's the thing. All right, guys, we've been going for 71 minutes. I'm going to wrap this up. I got some things to do here this evening. So, thank you for joining us on Steel City Live. Another amazing show, as always. Don't forget to join us tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Steel City Live, right here on Mike Drop Sports. Thank you so very much. Make sure that you share the shit out of the content. We truly appreciate it. Invite all your friends, family, everybody you know to come join in the conversation here each and every day, or at least just hit the subscribe button. But anyway, thank you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you. Peace.